Som gent del Barris, som la força lleida, l'orgull de la ciutat, l'equip dels nostres cors. Han tornat a la CB, però han vingut per quedar-nos. I gent del Barris per explicar-ho. Força Lleida, visca Trinidad i Tobago. Força Lleida, visca Trinidad i Tobago. El gat comença molt sorprès de l'abril. El Jaume ens fa la crònica del partit. El Juanal, l'altaveu del Barris Nord. El Quim ens explica el seu quadern de viatge i després torna al femení. El Calfa amb la calfa prèvia i la base amb els amics de Naios. I el Xevi Albert Solibre sempre de festa. La cova d'en Morell ens apropa el millor del partit. Mentre el departament d'atracaments busca foto pels sortejos. El xat del personal es descollona. Les anècdotes de l'Albert flueixen amb les estadístiques del Jaume. Mentre el Juanal i el Calfa la seva bola. El Xevi rebatejant patrocinadors i el Quim amb el seu quadern. Som gent del Barris, som la força lleida, l'orgull de la ciutat, l'equip dels nostres cors. Hem tornat a la CB, però hem vingut per quedar-nos. I gent del Barris per explicar-ho. Força Lleida, visca Trinidad i Tobago. Saludats, coneguts, amics, mecenes i patrocinadors, gràcies per acompanyar-nos en aquest viatge. Ens ho passarem bé, encara que ens deixem el fetge. Risoteràpia per un tubo, els soldats t'encuentra. Som cavall guanyador, tot i que el port no es paga per tot. Tenim mites i ferrats de terra i nojo. Som gent del Barris, som del Força Lleida, l'orgull de la ciutat, l'equip dels nostres cors. Hem tornat a la CB, però hem vingut per quedar-nos. I gent del Barris per explicar-ho. Força Lleida, visca Trinidad i Tobago. Força Lleida, visca Trinidad i Tobago.
Hola a tothom, bon dia, bona tarda, bona nit, gent del Barris. Ara feia temps que no portàvem una nova cara a casa nostra, tot i que no deixem d'estar al Barris Nord, per intentar conèixer una mica millor tant l'esportista com la persona que hi ha darrere d'aquest jugador. Sens dubte que podríem tots coincidir que aquesta temporada un dels MVPs de l'equip ha estat el Melvin, i amb ell, al llarg d'aquests minuts, intentarem aprofundir una mica sobre el que ha estat la seva carrera, sobre el seu passat, especialment a Màlaga, on ja vam veure fa unes setmanes que el tenen amb molt bona consideració i amb moltíssima estima, sobre el present més immediat aquí a Lleida i també una mica sobre els seus plans de futur en aquests anys, esperem que bastants, de carrera que encara li queden per endavant. Per tant, esperem que amb ell en puguem parlar al llarg d'aquests minuts. Welcome, Melvin. As I said, other players from the team have passed for this interview, so I hope that it will be a good moment for us and for all the people that follows us to know a little bit more about the human being that is behind the professional player of Melvin Ejim. And first of all, thanks for coming, for acceding of talking with us here today.
Absolutely, it's my pleasure.
I wanted to talk first about your career, because now you are 35, more or less, yeah? You've played in College League, in G League, I think also in ABA, in the Balkanics, and in other places in Europe. Finally, here in Spain is maybe the place that you have established more. And the first thing that came to my mind when I saw your career is that you have a large family. You have 4 kids.
Yeah.
How do you keep the balance between being a professional basketball player and more in the way that you are like, or you seem very committed to everything you do, with being also in that high standard as a member of a family?
Yeah, it's a lot of balance. It's a lot of balancing act. Obviously, I have tons of support on both players. As an athlete, I have tons of support from my teams and from my players and my organization. But at home, my wife, she does a really great job of organizing and keeping our life organized and making sure my kids' lives are easy so that it's easy for me to be a dad. I get to do a lot of the fun stuff and be around, and she takes care of a lot of the stuff at home. But I pride myself on being able to be a part of my kids' lives and to be, active in their lives and the things that they do. So it's important for me to be at school events, to be at games, and to do whatever I can to be present in their life. But I enjoy it. It's definitely a balancing act. It takes a lot of commitment, but it's part of my life. It's part of my responsibility, and it's something that I enjoy.
I understand that when you took that decision to have kids, to create a family, it was important for you the fact of being, as you said, an active member of that family. That although like the sport takes you, for example, all weekends off, and you have to do, especially those years in Malaga, like lots of travels in European competition, to assure that you could be next to your family members.
Yeah, for sure. Even when my kids were small, I know a lot of players who, when they have small kids, it's like, okay, I got to sleep in a different room, or I need to stay focused, or I can't watch the baby this time because I got to focus for my game. For me, it was really important to be there all the time. So sometimes I had to sacrifice getting great sleep and not maybe performing in a practice, but being able to be there to help my wife out, to take care of my kids, and to be present, and to change diapers, and to do different stuff. And then obviously to make time for myself to be ready for my game. So like I said, it's always about balancing, but it's something that I felt as a responsibility as a good parent, and something that I wanted to make sure that I was involved in my kids' life as much as I can, because I have parts of my job where I'm gone for a lot of the time. I want them to know that I'm still there and present in their lives. Yeah.
And also, like going a little bit backwards, as I said, you played in the US, in Italy, in Russia, here in Spain. How do you keep that balance that you were referring when you have to change? I won't say constantly, because you stayed like in a huge stints, for example, in Malaga. But I think that, or I guess that for the little ones especially, it's difficult to change their whole environment, and also this paper of you as a father.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, it's difficult, right? Like when they're younger, it's easier because there's not as many commitments. They're not in school. They don't know as many people. But I think one thing that my wife does and that we try to do is to try to make everywhere we go, home for us, right? However that looks, right? We're going to be in different countries and different situations, but at home we're going to have the same routine. We're going to have similar things. We're going to try to create an environment at home that feels home wherever we go. So we just try to be mindful of that. Make sure there's things that remind us of our home in Atlanta, things that they're comfortable with, and creating spaces for them so that they feel like, even though everything might be changing around us, we've got something stable here. But you're right. I mean, it's very difficult when every year, every 2 years, you're leaving. You're leaving friends, you're leaving schools, you're leaving situations that they know to go to new ones. And you have to be mindful of that when you're picking decisions and places that you want to go. But also, I think it's going to be something that's going to help them develop as young adults and as people, because they're going to be able to adapt to a little bit of different things, and there's constantly things that are changing. So it's difficult now, but I think in the future it'll make them stronger. But I love the fact, especially now that my kids are exposed to so many different languages, so many different cultures. They're learning Spanish or Castellano right now, and even a little bit of Catalan. So I think all of these experiences are going to help them become, great people, and expose them to different types of people in the world, which I think is invaluable when you get to different stages in your life, right?
What has taught you, and is the last question referring to this subject, but what has taught you being a father? as a person?
I mean, first, I think the biggest thing is patience. I
Yeah.
think, when you're a father, when you're a parent, you've got to learn to allow your kids to grow, and you've got to let them make their own mistakes and be able to sit back and be patient and let them develop at their own time or at their own pace, or to see things for they are, and to change your point of view, because you have an established point of view as an adult, as someone who's been through all these experiences, but these people are experiencing things for the first time, and sometimes you have to be patient enough to allow them to grow through that and to navigate through that, but still be there for to help them whenever they need it, right? So the biggest thing for me is patience, and also just having an open mind, open point of view, because a lot of the things that I see, they see very differently, and they're not always wrong in the way that they see things. So allowing them to figure out what works for them, but still being there as like the guide rails to keep them, responsible, and in a framework that helps them grow and not create anything, negative. So biggest things for sure is patience. Yeah.
And focusing on you as a player, you were formed in North America, then you have played almost your entire career in overseas, as you say, in America. Has any place, because like the basketball environment, I guess that is very different in Italy, in Spain, in Russia, in other countries. Is there any place that has surprised you positively or negatively among these years?
I mean, I think they've all been positive, honestly. I've been fortunate to be in a lot of good situations in different countries, and I was able to take a little bit, I think, from each place to help mold my game and help improve my game. In Italy, it was my first experience in Europe, and the rule changes were a bit different. How they officiated the game, how guys played, especially on closeouts and different things, was really new to me, and I was able to kind of see that, incorporate that, bring that into my game. In Russia and in the ABA, there's a certain level of physicality that you're allowed to play with, that I think I was used to playing with, and it was easy for me to translate into that game. But they also have different ways in the way that they play. In Spain is just a completely different game in the way of pace and the structure and everything. So each time I think they've all impacted me positively. I've been able to see different themes in the league and take them and use them to help myself get better or understand the game differently. But I was been pleasantly surprised in all the different leagues that I went to about the level of talent that was there, and just the structure that they had for leagues and stuff like that was pretty impressive each way. There was no negative experiences for me so far, playing overseas. Yeah.
At that first stage of your career, I read that Orlando Magic offered you a training camp contract in 2015. Did you ever consider that dream of really making, I won't say like maybe a huge career, but maybe your debut in the NBA?
Yeah, I mean, I think that was from the moment that I graduated from college and I had an opportunity to participate in the NBA Combine and be around the NBA and do different things, that I wanted to play in the NBA. And that was one of my really big opportunities and chances right there. It didn't form out, but for sure, in the back of your mind, you always want to think, maybe I could be in the NBA. But for me, my path didn't go that way, and I was able to get really good experiences overseas. And I'm happy with the way that I went. I mean, would I have loved to have an opportunity to play in the NBA? For sure. But sometimes the way that the situation goes, it doesn't happen for you. But I was able to, have a good career over here and create a life and enjoy myself here as well.
And life directs you to Europe. In 2017, you win the Italian League with Venezia, and you are the MVP of the finals. Is that maybe, I don't know if mentally or only as a thing of mind, a turning point in your career, like in an important league between Europe, like being that decisive? Maybe, I don't know if in your mind made this like a click to say, I'm prepared for bigger things.
Yeah, absolutely. There was, I think, a number of turning points. Just on the court, yes, I was in a role for the first time since college where I had a big part of the team where I could be involved in so many different things. In my time there, I was, I played the 5, I played the 4, I played the 3. I was shooting the ball, I was driving the ball, I was dribbling the ball, I was being involved in so many different things. Defensively, we did so many different stuff, and that was the first time that I seen a coach kind of use me in these different ways where I was like, wow, like I have the ability to impact the game in so many different ways. Sometimes I didn't have great games, but I had great defensive performances because I was guarding a point guard, or I had different things. So it exposed me more to like the capability that I could have here in Europe and the impact that I could have here in Europe. And then obviously winning the league, which was important at the time, was the first time for them. It showed me, I have the ability to be a great player over here and to impact winning and to be a part of winning cultures. And yeah, it definitely took me up to another category. I felt like, because when you come out of the United States or you come out of college, they kind of wait to see what kind of caliber player are you. Are you one of the guys who kind of is just an athlete, or are you a smart player, or are you a player who wins? Kind of, it takes some time to develop that identity, and that was a big part of my identity. And as I kept going to Unix and then to Montenegro, Slovenia, even Spain, each place I kind of reinforced that identity of winning, of being a high caliber playing at a high level, helping teams, exceed expectations. So yeah, it was definitely a turning point for me. Winning that league, my first professional championship, and then winning it in that way was really important for my career.
You said that this year was the first time that you played in the position of 3, 4, 5.
Yeah.
Which is your natural position? Because I've seen you play all those years and I still haven't guessed which is the correct one.
Yeah, I mean, I've always been a bit of a tweener. Like even when I was in college, I played the 4, but I was like kind of like a wing 4. Like I could play on the perimeter. I always play on the perimeter. So really, whatever, if it's the 4 or the 3, it's kind of interchangeable depending on how you play. I think naturally the easiest for me is the 4 because I have mismatches. I'm usually either faster than some of the 4s or more athletic or than some of the 4s, but I'm strong enough to guard them, so it's an easier transition for me. But at the wing, I also have a natural advantage because I'm bigger than most of those guys and I can post them up really well. So it kind of, for me, never really mattered what position I was in. It was just more so about how the coach decided to use me or how they decided to play me. So naturally, I lean to 4, but I think it's in between 3, 4. I've always been a tweener. I'm always used to knowing whatever I got to do at the 4, I've got to also know how to do it at the 3. And shoot, this year I played a little bit of the 5 as well. So I like to think of myself as just an opportunistic and a player. Whatever position you need to put me in, if you need to put me at the 2 or the 1, I could play it. I like to be able to do a lot of things and do a lot of things well. So I'm kind of a product of the positionless basketball, but just someone who you could put anywhere and they could kind of get something done wherever position you put them in.
I think you just solved one of the biggest questions between our audience, because we have been still thinking those months. If you are really a 5, a 4, you are an intermediate. So I think that is really accurate what you just said. I want to talk about these really good years in Malaga. You first played there, I didn't remember, in 2020, a brief stint, and then you spent 3 fantastic seasons between 2022 and 2025, where you formed a huge team, you won practically everything. Have those been the best years of your career?
For sure. I mean, altogether, yeah. I mean, that was one of the best experiences that I've had in terms of everything. As a player, there's a couple of different factors. There's how you play, there's where you live, and then there's if you guys win, right? And then a lot of times you might get 1 out of 2 or 2 out of 3 is a great year, but if you get 3 out of 3 is an amazing experience. And for me, in Malaga was a place where I played really well. We won a lot of games, and we were in a great environment, in a great place. So that was great for my family. So it checked all the boxes. We had a lot of success. And it was definitely fun. I mean, I've had a lot of great moments in my career, but as a group, as a whole, as one club, that's for sure one of the highlights of my career.
This year with Yvonne still, but the sensation is that they are in a new cycle with new players, with lots of important from last years, like you, Carter, Cam Taylor, Setkowski. You have gone to other teams, so they are like starting another one. This, I hope, winning period again. I want to talk about this previous team of the last 3 years with all those names that I have just mentioned. What made that team so special to win those many trophies?
I think it was the chemistry. Like we just had a lot of guys who understood one, how to play basketball, two, how to be good people, and three, how to sacrifice. I think when we look at it now, we had a team of 13, 14 guys that could play in any team in Europe and be really good players. And all of those 13, 14 guys had to check their ego and sacrifice so that our team as a whole could play well, right? I had to play limited minutes or limited opportunities so that everyone could be successful. Or some guys had to play limited opportunities or not be able to be as high as they wanted to and sacrifice for the team. And within that, they were able to do those things. So I think when you have a group of people who really buy into what you're doing and have a great culture, it makes everything else easier. It makes the coaching easier. It makes the games easier. It makes understanding what each other needs to do easier. And I think that team chemistry and the characters that we had was like the number one most important thing there, because when you have a good group of guys, they make life easy.
I said to you off cameras, but many people in Malaga, based on when we read in social medias and also talking with people there in Malaga, didn't really understand your departure. I wanted to ask you if it was your own decision, if it was like an agreement with the club, or you really felt that it had arrived that moment, like an end of a cycle, as I said.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely their decision. They chose not to offer me a new contract or to continue engaging in any type of thing for the future. Like I said, they wanted a new group of guys. They knew that they were going to lose a lot of guys because when you play that well, other teams notice and they want to get some of these guys. And they knew that they were going to lose a bit of guys, and they wanted to kind of, keep the same model of what they do, keeping a core group of guys, but adding guys. And I wasn't a part of that. It wasn't anything negative, or the way that they treated me was always amazing, so it wasn't like that. But I always knew that there was kind of a bigger commitment to some other people than I was, and just in terms of contracting negotiations and different stuff. The same guys that were on the team for those years were signing 3-year deals, and I was signing a 1-year deal. And so I knew that eventually they were probably going to replace me with someone else who they felt could do a better job, or someone who was similar, and they started doing that. So I started seeing the writing on the wall. So it was definitely their decision. But I also, from my point of view, I also was starting to feel like, okay, I'm not really getting an opportunity to do what I've done in the past here and what I think I can do in the future here. And maybe it's time for me to try to find something else. But they made the decision for me, and so it made it easy for me to leave and to go out and to try to find out, other opportunities and other places. And I'm glad that I was able to come to Lleida and start to show people the type of player that I've been before and have the capability of being now, and how I can impact, games and teams and help teams win. And so I don't think that if I was at Malaga, I'd be playing as well as I am now, or in the position to kind of talk about the different things that I could add to the game if I was still there. Although I think, I still would be doing what people have known me to be doing here in Spain before, but I think that this year has really kind of showed a new perspective of the type of player that I was, that I don't think anybody ever had before.
I've always explained the same thought when we talk with other people here in Lleida, but I have in mind an image about you, which is last year, I think, in the last game that you play in the league, you get eliminated by Real Madrid. The last game, you lose by 10, 15 points, I don't remember. And in the last play of the game, Hesonia takes the ball and starts running to do the last layup. And you, even though you were eliminated, you follow him to until the rim, and you block that the last point of the game. I don't know, but for me, it was like a really good example of the level of commitment that you have to the game. And I think, relating it with the next question, that you could see last week when you were there in Malaga, the huge amount of respect I don't know the exactly word, but they know really good what you all meant for them, and I think that it was a really beautiful moment last week.
Yeah, I mean, for me as a player, one thing that I've always prided myself on is just working hard and never giving up and trying my best and, respecting the game, and sometimes, we're seeing it now in the NBA. There's this unwritten rule that in the last 2 seconds you don't score. But, here, we don't really have that type of rule. And I think also it's a very silly rule because if the game is when you're on the court and the time is going, it's your job to stop the other team from scoring.
And averages are also
and
important.
averages are important here. So you don't want someone to score another game or whatever. And it's also about a perception that you're putting off to everybody in the team. Like, we're not going to give up. Even if we lose, we're going to fight. And I think that was a good example of me showing guys through that I play, because I don't really like to talk too much. It's just that I'm never going to give up. And if someone's going to try to score, I'm going to try to stop them regardless of what the game is, what the score is. And I'm always going to fight for the game, for my team, for my club, for whatever I think is right. So, yeah, I think that the people of Malaga really appreciated that character of me. And they really appreciated the way that I always came out to fight, always came out prepared, didn't complain, didn't cry, just went out and did my work. And I think that resonated with them. And that was the reason why they had such profound respect for me and admiration for me, even though that I'm no longer a part of their team. And I feel the same towards them as well.
And for this new chapter, you chose Lleida as your new destination. Why?
I really like the idea of going to a place and helping them become better, become to the place where they wanted to be. Here they had a lot of aspirations of staying in the league, being in the league, going into European competition. And they had a new young coach, or not new, but a young coach, and an opportunity to do that. And so for me, all of the things just kind of aligned. It was an opportunity, a fresh place for me to go to reestablish myself, to show that I could play. I was going to have opportunities to be here, to help develop and to help grow a program. And they really wanted me to be here. And it says something about a team when a team really wants you to be there. They're willing to go the extra mile for you. They're willing to put you in the positions to be successful when they want you. And I really felt that from here, and it made my decision to come here very easy.
We are not still at the end of the season, but do you think that at this point it was the right choice?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we still have a lot of work to do to solidify ourselves just as in terms of a team and to make sure that we're playing here in the ACB next year. For sure, I think it was the right decision for me. I was able to show that I could be a great quality player. I was able to impact the team and get to know a whole new side of Spain and a community here that has support. And I think for me as a player, I got to reignite my flame and my love for basketball because I was able to really enjoy it again and really be in the game, impacting the game when it matters. And so for sure, for me, I think it was the right decision and a great decision.
Offensively, I had to go back until the 16-17 season with Venezia to find similar numbers. How have you adapted to this key role on the team?
I think well. I think in my mind, I've always been ready. I've always had to play different roles. Like I said, I've been in college where I was the main guy. Well, for 2 or 3 years, I wasn't the main guy, and I was a worker, and I was a rebounder, and I was a screener, and I was the guy who did all the dirty things. I had a couple years where I was one of those guys, and a year when I was that guy, and I averaged 17 points, and I was the main guy. So I think I always knew, depending on the situation, what I need to do, and I was just waiting for my opportunity and for my situation where I developed all these skills and all these different skill sets, and when I was in that opportunity, I would be able to hit the ground running and to really do well. So I think I've prepared for it. I think I've adapted really well to it. I think I've shown consistency throughout the year because some people can have great games and then have games where they don't do anything. But I think I've been pretty consistent throughout the year. And, I'm only going to learn from this experience and become better in the future.
From what you said until this point, I have seen that you give a great importance to the people who surround you, your family, the team. For example, we talked before in Unicaja. Which locker room have you found here in Lleida?
Which locker room? A really good locker room because we have a lot of young guys who are eager to learn. Guys who haven't been in the ACB for long but are motivated and to do well and are eager to learn and listen. So it's easy to help guys and to communicate with guys when they want to learn and when they want to get better, when they work hard. So we have a really good locker room. We haven't been able to translate that all so much into wins, but we have guys that are committed, guys who like to learn, guys who are open to learning. We're not afraid to communicate. And I think that's one of the big factors in having a team is people who can talk and people who can listen. And we have that here, and we just need to put that all together and translate that into wins on the court.
When we talk about you in the program, we define you as a Navy SEAL. Do you agree with this definition?
I mean, I got a lot of respect for the Navy SEALs, so I don't know if I could live up to their expectations. But I definitely see myself as a soldier, as someone who just goes in, knows what he has to do, execute what he has to do, and tries his best every time. So in that regard, I could see some similarities, but I don't want to diminish what the Navy SEALs do and all the training that they have to do to be who they are. So yeah.
Also, at the beginning of the season, I have another image that is in that game against Barça. Maybe it wasn't your best game at all, but you had, as you said, a very regular season, and you haven't had like ups and downs, so you are also consistent. You scored like the decisive point of the game, and there is a really good image when the camera shows you and you start like laughing alone, of a happiness. I don't know how to define it. Did the expectations or the results from the beginning of the season really go above your expectations?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely didn't think that the first couple, first month, first couple of weeks, we were going to start the way that we did. And I think that it was good and bad at the same time. It was great because we saw the capability that we can have if we played at the right level. But I think it also put a lot of high expectations on us that we weren't able to meet throughout the year. But expectations are important because expectations is what you need in order to try to reach for that and try to exceed those expectations. So I'm disappointed that we couldn't sustain that. But yeah, I was definitely proud of the way that we started because I didn't expect us to start that hot and that well. But given our team and given the way that we play, I understand how we did that. We just have to get back to that level of confidence, that level of intensity that we had then. And we got to learn in the future that we've got to maintain that because in this league, wins are not easy. They're not given away cheaply, and you got to work for every single win. And that level of commitment needs to stay there the entire year.
You've had, as a team, good streaks during the season, in the beginning, in those matches in the Canary Islands. Maybe I would also say these two games, like La Laguna Tenerife and Barcelona, that came together at home. But you've also had deep and complicated moments with 6 and 7 losses that came in a consecutive way. How these bad moments have been passed or treated inside the team?
Yeah, those difficult moments have really been difficult for a lot of us because we've never experienced it like that, right? But I think between coach and Joaquin and our general manager and our owner, they've all been trying to uplift us through that moment. I think that was the best part. Sometimes when those things happen, it's very easy to get negative, and it's very easy to point the finger and to blame guys and to say, what we're not doing. But they really try to kind of bring us together and to try to help us overcome that experience together. And you don't see that a lot. And I think those particular struggles help build character. They help build that sense of urgency when it comes to a game like Barcelona or Tenerife, where you feel like you're in it and you gotta go. And I think that sometimes you get complacent, but you need that sense of urgency. You need that intensity to help you push through those moments. And I think that all those experiences for us as a group is going to teach us things. It's going to help us to overcome them in the future and to give us that sense of urgency that we need sometimes to finish games, to play well, and to execute all the way through.
We don't talk as the press with the players so often, but with Gerard at the end of each match, also in the beginning with the press conferences. And he always says, Yeah, we know that have been losing 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 matches in a row, but the commitment, all the trainings are excellent. The behavior is really that one. If you want to reach the wins, was it really like this inside?
Yeah, it's a shame that sometimes that the public and the crowds don't get to see our practices and the build up before the game, right? You come on the Sunday or Saturday and you see how the team plays, and whether they do good or bad, you get an idea of the entire team from that one day. But it's really weeks of training. It's really a whole week of preparation. And throughout those weeks, I think our level of commitment is extremely high. Our communication, our effort, the way we train. And sometimes it's part of sport. Those preparations don't prepare you completely for the game, and things can happen that end in defeat. So it's a shame that sometimes they don't get to experience that with us. But one thing is for sure, we practice very hard, we practice very intently, and we have a great group of people who always are working hard. It doesn't always translate to wins because the games are more than just working hard. But for sure, I can agree with him that in those moments when we're losing, we're tough, from us as a team, that effort is at the highest level and that commitment is at the highest level. And we want to show to all the fans that are supporting us the same type of support by winning the games. We want to reward their support by winning those games and being in those games and fighting, but sometimes it doesn't always, turn into a win.
Without going any further, in Malaga there is a huge basketball culture, but here every week in, week out, you have 6,000 people making everything they can to help you win. Has it surprised the environment here in Lleida also?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when I came here last year with Lleida, I didn't remember such a great environment. I know it was a very difficult game. There was a very big sport difference in the wins, but I don't remember the intensity. But when I came here in that first preseason game against Barcelona, I was like, whoa, like this is different. You feel it, and for such a this is a good size arena, but I think you said 6,000, 7,000 people. You really feel them with you. You really hear them. You really enjoy the chants and the support. And so, yeah, they're a big key to our success, especially. I think we play significantly better at home than we do on the road because of their support, because of their energy. So, yeah, it's been great to go from one good basketball culture to another different but still equally as good basketball culture. I think that's made the transition for me very, very easy and very fun. You always want to be a part of an environment like this anytime you play the game.
I will try to explain you why last season there weren't so many people here. It was like the one of the last weekends of the season, and here in Lleida we celebrate La Plec del Caragol. It's like the big parties here in Lleida where people come together with their groups and eat snails.
Oh, okay.
So they're typical here in Lleida. It was the game in a Sunday morning. That means that everyone that tends to be here week in, week out was like in a hangover. So maybe you won't remember it.
That makes sense. Because every game I've seen here, I've been here, was never like that game there. And I was just like, whoa, it was very different. But being here now, I understand the level of commitment they have to this club, the love that they have, and the support that they have for the players. I really feel it every time I walk through the city or I go somewhere and people are telling me good job or let's get this win this weekend. It's really uplifting. It's really motivating.
I can understand that you enjoy playing here with all people behind you, but I feel that you are also that kind of player that loves playing in away from home, in a court that makes things difficult, that is really heavy on his shoulders. I don't know if you agree with me.
Yeah, I mean, I think sometimes it's fun in a hostile environment, the opposite way. You know what I mean? Because it gives you a little bit of extra motivation, a little bit more that you want to prove the other team wrong, or you want to prove the crowd, you want to make them silent. You know what I mean? It gives you a little bit of,
adrenaline.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I definitely enjoy playing on the road in hostile environments because it makes it more fun. It gives me a bit of more, just energy that just makes me want to prove you wrong. But playing at home with support is also is equally as fun. So I don't show it a lot in my face because when I'm playing, I'm pretty serious. But I definitely feel it, and I enjoy it, for sure.
And ABC, like we say, no emotions, only for the duty.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I was always told when I came early, one of the biggest transitions for me when I came early to Europe was you got to show no emotion, right? Because some of the coaches that I had didn't really like when you're too high or too low, or if you're too happy or you're too sad. It just kind of, I started learning, okay, well, I've got to be more reserved with how I feel, and I just got to, think about the work. And I've been able to, I feel, be more even keeled with my emotions on the court, because sometimes you get so excited and you get so think that you get tired when you got to go back in the game. And I think I've been able to sustain it and control my emotions so that I'm never too high and I'm never too low. And I think that works for me.
Only a few matches to end the season. You are in a good position, but the goal is not reached yet. What will need the team to finish this goal?
I think what we talked about, we need that sense of urgency. We need that, it's not done yet. We need to finish the job. We have to have that mentality that every opportunity, every game now is to give us a step further, because we don't know, we're in a race and people are behind us chasing us, and you never look back. You always got to make sure that you're taking the right step forward. And so I think that we need to come and attack these games, every single game, with a sense of urgency, to do what we can in our power to control our destiny. The worst thing you can do is to wait and have someone else have to decide about your fate, right? So we have great opportunities in front of us where we can control our destiny and we can choose what we want to do. We've just got to go out there with a sense of urgency and be prepared to fight all the way.
Some fans are more positive, others more negative, and like to stay until the last possibility, not relaxed about the goal is done. Are you confident that you will reach that, staying another year in the league?
I'm always confident in whatever team that I'm on that we can win. Otherwise, if I wasn't, I wouldn't play the game. But yeah, I believe every single game that we have forward, we can win. It depends on us. We've got to go out there and want to win and prove that we can win and we deserve to win, and then we have to go out and execute. So for sure, I believe that we definitely have the talent, we definitely have the club, we definitely have the fans and the crowd to be there. It's about now going out there and doing it. So it's on us to do our jobs.
And it's really truth, because for people that don't follow every week Lleida, it's difficult to explain that we've lost some important matches against teams from the bottom, but you've won Barris twice, Tenerife also twice, in Malaga only 1 point here at home. Yeah, I think it's been a season that it has been defies maybe this kind of logic that maybe you expect from a team from the bottom part of the table.
Yeah, I mean, we've had some really amazing wins and we've had some really tough losses, but that's part of sports. That's part of basketball, and our job is to try to even that out and to be the same team, whether we're playing the great teams or we're playing teams behind us. And the toughest thing is, everybody here needs to win. Everybody here is playing with their best opportunity. So if you have a day where you're not at your best, you can definitely lose. So we have to be at our best every game going forward and be focused on doing what we need to do to win these games.
The last questions, Melvin, taking Lleida component apart in general, if I'm not mistaken, there is a great basketball tradition in your family? All your siblings play or have played basketball?
Yeah.
How has this helped or taken you to this path of becoming a professional basketball player?
Oh, that's been huge. I have 12 brothers and sisters, different moms, different dads. Different moms. I have me and 3 brothers have the same mom and dad. My sister has a different mom, and I have a couple other siblings that have different moms through my dad's side. So I've always felt, even with me and my 4 brothers and my 2 sisters, I've been the example, and I've been the person that has to kind of lead the way. So they've always been on my back, kind of pushing me, and I've always been in front trying to show them the right thing to do. And playing basketball for us has been a connecting thing, and sports in general, because I have a sister who plays volleyball and I have some other siblings who play different sports. But for sure, if it wasn't for them behind me and for me trying to set the right example for them and be the right person for them to look up, I don't think I'd be as far as I would be. But it's amazing. And I was talking to someone earlier, not just basketball, but basketball in Spain. You know what I mean? I had 2 brothers who played all over basketball, in Eba, and Silver, in Plata, and Oro. maybe I think, and all over Algeciras, Albacete, Melilla, Gijón. My sister's in San Sebastian.
Okay.
My other brother, was playing in Finland, and so we had people who've been playing sports, all over the place, but especially here in Spain. So there's a special connection that I have here in this country, and that we have as my family in basketball. But for sure, we're definitely a very competitive family when it comes to basketball, when it comes to sports, when it comes to trophies. My mom has a huge trophy case at home that has everyone's
Yeah.
trophies, and it's always a
I can't believe.
competition. Yeah, I would get one, and my brothers would try to get two more to prove my other one wrong. And it was that love of competing and that love of sport that I think is really prominent in our family for sure.
I need to go back to this fact that you have 11 brothers and sisters.
Yeah.
How was like growing up with
No,
so many people at home?
Well, I grew up with just me and my 3 brothers and my
Okay.
2 sisters. And then I also had my 4 siblings
Okay.
in a different part of Canada. But we're always a tight family, and there's always a lot of people. I come from a big family. My mom has 8 or 9 brothers and sisters, and we have tons of cousins and family. So we're used to having big families. That's why you see I have a big family, and I enjoy being around a lot of people and just that family experience, that family life. Yeah.
You have the Canadian nationality.
Nationality.
I guess that one of your parents are from Nigeria, because you have also
Both are from Nigeria.
both of them.
Yeah.
And when you had to choose between playing for one or the other, what made you decide?
It was a lot of things. At first, I had played with the Nigerian national team. I was going to play with them before the Olympics, but I didn't end up making the team because they chose not to pursue me. But I had a really great experience playing internationally. We played in China and some events, and we played against some other national teams, and I really enjoyed it. But at the time, I was very young and I wasn't experienced. But I didn't really like the way the organization was being run or how they were treating people.
Yeah.
And Canada came to me a couple years after, when I was in college, and asked me to play with some of their junior national teams. And I really enjoyed the experience. I really enjoyed playing with Canada. And my mom basically said, listen, you're Nigerian, our whole family's from Nigeria. We would love for you to play there, but you're also Canadian too. So choose where you think that would be the best opportunity for you to grow, or where you like and what makes sense. And Canada just made more sense because all my friends were there. All the guys I grew up were there, that I lived with, that I grew up playing the sport with were there. All the coaches that I knew from kids, and it was just an easier transition. I was always back home in Canada, and I had an equal amount of love and commitment to both countries. But Canada showed the most back to me, and I think that you always want to be where you're wanted, and you want to be where you're an opportunity to grow and develop. And Canada, for me, had always been that opportunity for me, and they just never really materialized it until I was a bit older, and then I kind of showed that I could be a really good player.
And as you said, you had the opportunity to go to one Olympics, which is for any sports person one of the top experiences that they can get. How was that?
That was amazing. It was an amazing experience. Just being in the Olympic Village, competing at the highest level, competing with the teams, the best teams in the country or in the world at that time. It's an unbelievable experience. And then the type of pride that I had in, being Canadian, representing Canada, being one of the 12 players that was chosen to represent our country in the biggest stage is an unbelievable feeling and honor that I don't take for granted. But it took a lot of work. It was 10 years of every summer, every window, playing for the national team, trying to create an opportunity for us to go back to the Olympics that we haven't been in such a long time. So it was a beautiful moment. It was a very rewarding moment where you get to see the years of working matriculate into one moment. And even though I didn't get to participate in it the way that I wanted to, or to be involved in some of the games that I wanted to, I was still an active member. I was still there. I was still rooting. I was still involved in doing different things in different levels to help impact the team. And I really appreciate the opportunity to do that at that stage.
And looking ahead, how many more years do you see yourself playing on a professional level?
I mean, as long as I physically can do it and I'm still enjoying the basketball, enjoying where I'm at, and my family's still happy being here, I'm going to continue. I used to have this idea that I wanted to stop, when I was in my mid-30s, and I'm in my mid-30s, and I want to keep playing. But I think you see so many great players playing around Spain, especially who are in their older ages are still great players that are still impacting the game, that can still play at a high level. You have,
The last MVP from the league was 42.
yeah, you know, so he's a great example of somebody who's doing it. Even on his team, another Canadian for me, Dornicamp, is turning 40 this year, and is someone that I've grown up watching and playing with and playing against. And I don't think, I think that I've physically have the ability to. I'm mentally still locked into the game, and I still like the challenge and enjoying it. So as long as I can, and as long as teams see value in me, I think I'm definitely going to try to play for as long as I can.
And I have to ask you, here in Lleida?
Yeah, I mean, I think, it's been a great experience so far. I've been playing really well. I think I have a contract for next year. So unless something crazy happens or an unbelievable opportunity comes around, I think that, more than likely I'll be here, and I'd be happy to be here for sure.
And we'll be really glad if you stay, of course. I have to read the last questions that are members of our audience.
Okay.
I have to say that I haven't read them.
Okay.
And I don't know if anyone from the locker room has told you, but here in Lleida there is a huge social media community.
Okay.
And they have one or more fake accounts of every member of the team.
Okay.
I don't know how is it called yours, but you have also
Okay,
your
all
own. I will try to choose the best ones or the ones that I can read in front of a camera.
Okay, all right.
Okay. So, for example, I don't know how it's said in English, but there are like two animations here in the court. One is there, Nuclei Bordeus, and the other is like behind of this ring that is Peña Junts Lleida. And they ask you, of all this time that you have been living here in Lleida, what's the thing that you've liked the most and the least of the city?
The thing that I like the most and the least of the city. I think I like the fact that everything is close of the city. You can get around very quickly, and you've got everything you need. I guess the one thing that I would say that I dislike is there's not that many parks. There's some small parks, but there's not many things for kids to do outside of, we've gone to Salting, we've been to some of the different amusement parks. We did laser tag at the hotel. I can't remember. There's just not that many things for kids to do outside. There's small parks, but like a big area, picnic area you can go, or maybe I just don't know where it is yet. But that's, I guess, maybe if I had to pick something, it'd be that there's only a few small parks and there's nothing really huge for kids to go to.
I would say the Hiet in summer, but you come from Malaga and you are really prepared.
Yeah.
Carles also asks, which is the funniest member of the team?
The funniest member of the team?
Or anyone that has surprised you in the way that he is?
The funniest member? Oh, for sure the funniest member of the team is Udi.
Yeah?
Yeah, Udi's silly. He's the one guy, you always need someone on the team who keeps the energy and the atmosphere good and light. And even when things are bad, he's the one guy that is going to make a joke or be funny or help guys relax during the tense moments. So for sure, he's one of the funniest guys on the team. And for me, John also. I know it doesn't seem like it, but John is really funny. He's got a great sense of humor. And I think for me, those two guys are one of the funniest guys on the team.
And Uri's numbers those last weeks have been
amazing. Nothing funny about the way he's been playing.
Yeah.
He's been playing serious. He's been playing how we need him to play. And I think he's been showing more also his quality, which everyone knew he had, but putting it and finally putting it all together.
He also asks, how is your relationship with Gerard? Also, I add this by myself, because you are maybe the same age or more or less.
Yeah, I think Gerard's a few months older than me, but I think very good. I have a lot of respect for him, and I think he has a lot of respect for me because of my experience, the way that I project myself, and the way that I communicate with people and talk to people. So I think it's mutual respect, and I really enjoy playing for him, and I think everyone noticed that I've been playing my best basketball, and I think that's because I have a coach that really trusts me, and I really trust him, and he's put me in really good positions to be successful.
Was there a call last summer trying to convince you?
Absolutely, yeah. He talked to me, and one of my biggest things that I spoke to him during the summer was, I want to be in the game when it matters. I want to be in the game in the fourth quarter when everything's on the line, and I want to know kind of what's your idea of how I should play and how do you think about me, and he really understood the type of player that I was and really spoke to how he was going to use me in different opportunities. And I really like that. And the fact that he trusts me now to be in those games, to end games, to be, a key part of the team, I really value and I really respect.
They also ask you about how do you feel here in Lleida, if the season has reached your expectations. More or less you answered that before. If you see Lleida more years, you said that at least until next season that you have this contract. They also asked you what does the team miss to get that regularity for next season, maybe?
I don't know if we necessarily. I think it's more so about the mentality. I think we're missing sometimes the mentality and the discipline that it needs to carry out some of the responsibilities we have. Like, you need to be very disciplined. You need to be able to be 100% committed for 40 minutes every game, because I think we have the players, we have the coach, we have the environment, we have all the right things, but sometimes I feel like we forget who we are, and we need to remember that we're that same team at the beginning of the season that started incredible, and we have to have that consistency and that mentality to continue to push us through some of these games.
And the last ones, they asked you why did you choose Lleida. You've also answered that. And Tony also asks, in tire, where would you put Barris and Martin Carpena above the courts in the ACB?
Oh, in the ACB, for sure, top two. I mean, I have to go to Burgos. Everyone says Burgos is very good. The last time I went to Burgos was in 2019, and it was very different. But for me, I think those two are up. Malaga is a little bit, because they have a little bit more space, a little more. They can hold more people. It's a bigger arena, and when it gets crazy there, it gets really crazy. But for me, Barris is number two in the ACB. I haven't seen anything where I felt that same energy, those goosebumps, the sounds, the floor shaking, and for me, it's definitely top two in the ACB.
So that's all, Melvin. We have a present for you. I will need their help. If you can get the t-shirt. Yeah, thank you. That's a present.
I owe you something too. I gotta get it.
First, our present, it's a 2XL. I hope it's okay for you.
Yeah.
Do you mind if I open it?
Yeah, of course.
It's the t-shirt from our project. It's called Barris, which is people from Barris North.
Okay.
And more or less, to get our history, that's the name of our podcast. And behind,
so there's people of Barris, no?
of Barris.
Okay, nice.
And behind, some important stages of our club. As you may know, it's a really newborn club, because the old one disappeared some years ago, and it was the year of almost going down, of getting back to or arriving for the first time in the ACB, of the creation of Nuclei Bordeaux, the people that support you every season, reaching the ACB, and we hope that in 2026 we go keeping up.
Yeah,
so that's for you.
Perfect, thank you so much, and I'm definitely gonna have to get you something to give to some of the fans and the supporters, but I really appreciated the interview, and it was a pleasure.
Okay, so thanks for your sincerity, for being that open to explain your background. I think it's really important to get to know our players better, and it was an absolute pleasure.
Likewise, I appreciate it as well.
Doncs això és tot amb el Melvin. Crec que ha estat una conversa prou extensa. Hem tingut temps de parlar absolutament de tot. Ja ho anirem recuperant a poc, perquè crec que hi ha moltes cosetes interessants que de ben segur anirem recuperant al llarg d'aquesta temporada. Gràcies per acompanyar-nos.
Sempre amb la força Lleida, l'orgull de la ciutat, l'equip dels nostres característiques del Jaume, mentre el Guadal i el Cau fa la seva bola. El Lleida batejant patrocinadors, i el Equim amb el seu claver. Som gent del Barris, som la força Lleida. Tornem a la seva gol, vingut per quedar-nos. I gent del Barris per explicar-ho. Força Lleida, visca Trinidad i Tobago. Saludats, coneguts, amics, mecenes i patrocinadors, gràcies per acompanyar-nos en aquest viatge. Ens ho passarem bé encara que ens deixem el fetge. Risoteràpia per un tubo amb els soldats d'encuentre. Som cavall guanyador tot i que el port no es paga part, però tenim mites i Ferran Seteda i Nojo. Som gent del Barris, som del Força Lleida. Visca Trinitat i Tobago.